3 years. That was how long Daniel Carter had lived in his in-laws' house. 3 years of swallowing pride. 3 years of staying silent. 3 years of hearing the same sentence. You're not good enough for our daughter. It hadn't always been like this. Once, Daniel had owned a small engineering firm. Nothing enormous. But enough. Enough to provide for his wife, Claire. Enough to build a good life. Then came the recession. A failed contract. A lawsuit from a dishonest client. And within 18 months, everything was gone. The company. The savings. The house. Even his confidence. Claire never complained. Not once. But her parents did enough complaining for everyone. At first, they offered help. A spare room. Temporary support. Promises that family sticks together. 6 months later. Those promises came with conditions. A year later. They came with insults. By year 3. The insults had become routine. At dinner, his father-in-law would sigh dramatically. Some men build fortunes. A pause. Others lose them. His mother-in-law was worse. You should be grateful Claire stayed. As though his wife were doing charity work. Daniel usually said nothing. Because arguing would only upset Claire. And Claire had enough worries already. So he endured. Quietly. Until one rainy Tuesday. The day everything changed. It started at breakfast. His father-in-law placed a newspaper on the table. Look at this. Daniel looked. A luxury apartment advertisement. Nice place. His father-in-law nodded. Exactly. Then came the sentence. You should move there. Daniel blinked. What? You heard me. Silence. His mother-in-law folded her arms. We think it's time. Time. Such a small word. Yet it carried a clear message. Leave. Claire looked horrified. Dad. No. He raised his hand. This arrangement has lasted long enough. Another pause. A man should support his family. The words landed like stones. Daniel remained still. Then his mother-in-law added. And frankly, we've been supporting you. Silence. Heavy silence. Claire stood. That's enough. But her father wasn't finished. For 3 years we've watched our daughter carry this marriage. Another pause. How much longer should she suffer? That did it. Claire's eyes filled with tears. Daniel noticed immediately. And something inside him hurt. Not because of the insults. He was used to those. Because Claire looked ashamed. Ashamed that this conversation was happening. Ashamed that she couldn't stop it. Daniel stood. Slowly. Calmly. He looked at his father-in-law. Then his mother-in-law. Then at Claire. And smiled gently. It's okay. No, it isn't, Claire whispered. He nodded. I know. A long pause. Then he said the last thing anyone expected. I'll leave. The room froze. Claire stared. What? Daniel smiled sadly. I'll go. No. She shook her head immediately. No, we're leaving together. But Daniel looked tired. Not physically. Emotionally. 3 years is a long time to fight battles every day. I don't want you choosing between me and your parents. I'm not choosing. Tears rolled down her face. You're my husband. Silence. Then. A sound. Outside. At first, nobody paid attention. Then it grew louder. An engine. Several engines. Someone looked through the window. And froze. A black luxury car had stopped outside. Then another. And another. 3 vehicles. Followed by something else. A low roar in the distance. His father-in-law frowned. What on earth? A moment later, the front doorbell rang. Nobody moved. It rang again. Finally, Daniel opened the door. 2 men in dark suits stood outside. Behind them was a chauffeur. And beyond the driveway, a helicopter could be seen descending in a nearby field. The neighborhood was already gathering outside. People were pointing. Taking pictures. Whispering. One of the suited men smiled. Mr. Daniel Carter? Yes? The man nodded respectfully. We've been looking for you. The entire house fell silent. Then the man handed Daniel a leather folder. Inside was a letter. Daniel read the first line. And went completely still. Because at the bottom of the page was a signature he hadn't seen in years. A billionaire's signature. A man the entire country knew. A man who, according to the news, had spent the last 6 months searching for someone. Someone named Daniel Carter. The room was silent. Completely silent. Daniel stared at the signature. Then read it again. Because surely it couldn't be real. But it was. The letter was signed by Richard Langford. A billionaire. An investor. And, years ago, his business partner. Claire looked over his shoulder. Then gasped. Daniel. Her father frowned. Who is that? Daniel didn't answer immediately. Because his mind had already traveled back 10 years. Back to a tiny office. Back to late nights and impossible dreams. Back to 2 young men trying to build something from nothing. Richard and Daniel. Partners. Friends. Brothers in everything except blood. Then life happened. Richard moved overseas to pursue a larger venture. Daniel stayed behind with his engineering company. Over time, they lost touch. Not because they wanted to. Because life became busy. Then Daniel's business collapsed. His phone number changed. His address changed. And somehow, the friendship disappeared into time. Until now. The suited man cleared his throat. Mr. Langford would like to see you. Daniel blinked. Today? Immediately, if possible. His father-in-law finally spoke. Wait. Everyone looked at him. You're telling me that billionaire is looking for him? The man nodded. Yes, sir. Silence. The father-in-law laughed. A nervous laugh. This has to be some kind of mistake. The suited man smiled politely. It isn't. Then he reached into his jacket. And produced an old photograph. A faded picture. 2 young men standing beside a tiny office building. One was unmistakably Richard, the other was Daniel. 10 years younger. Everyone stared. Claire covered her mouth. Because she had never seen that picture before.